Rep Jayapal blames climate change for summer being hot. You'll love the replies. They kill her in the comments, man, and rightfully so. Because it's crazy. I've done all the studies. I can't really get into it on this platform because you know how they feel about the topic of climate change. So if you want to know, if you want to see some of the real studies, if you want to know my real thoughts on climate change, check out my Patreon where I really show a lot of the studies, the things that we're not allowed to talk about here. So check that out. But we're gonna talk about the seasonal change, and we're gonna talk about how we are in a solar minimum, where we're in a cool period, the exact opposite of what the fearmongers are saying. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to see some of the comments that people has to say about Jayapal. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from the Red State, and they report that sometimes it seems like a constitutional amendment requiring an IQ test with the minimum score required for election to Congress would be a good idea. And I agree. There are some absolute idiots in our government. These people are really not that bright. They really aren't. Oh, am I kidding? You can scratch the sometimes from that. Case in point, Representative Pramila Jayapal, the predictable woke croaker who clearly doesn't understand the difference between climate change and the seasons, get a load of this. She tweeted this. She put this out on X. It says, "This is climate change." Mind you, we're in the summer period, and mind you, look, there's temperatures here that are cooler than what they are in some places. Like here in Los Angeles, it's only 75 degrees, which is -10. So I counted this. I counted all the blue areas where the temperature has actually gone down. And with the temperatures that have actually gone up, more temperatures have actually gone down than gone up if you look at this chart here, or stayed the same. So what is she talking about here? This is summer. Sometimes it's hot. It gets hot in the summer. I mean, that's what happened when we have a change of season. The Congresswoman, yes, I'm presuming your gender, woke joke, right? Jayapal, let me explain a couple of things. Earth has this thing called seasons. With those seasons come a phenomenon we like to call weather. One of these seasons is summer, which we are in now, having passed the summer solstice last week. In summer, over the most of the northern hemisphere, the weather is warm, sometimes even hot. Get a load of that. That's what you're seeing here, Congresswoman. No climate change, weather. Also, since you clearly didn't take too close a look at the map you posted, you obviously didn't note that west of Mississippi, most of the recorded temperatures were below average. That's what I was just alluding to, including in your own Washington state. One more thing. You can't claim climate change is responsible for a point of measurement. Change, the actual word change implies movement over time. There's no change in a point reading. To put bluntly, Congresswoman, you simply have no idea what you're talking about. Some of the replies on X were golden. You got Tom Elliott. He said, probably you should give all of the power to Washington so they can outlaw seasons, right? Them pesky seasons. Forget the Constitution. This one would go against Mother Nature. Fortunately, we can be sure the suggestion is sarcasm. Speaking of which, DC Drano, who I follow, he said, yeah, because temps have never hit 90 degrees in summer before. Of course not. We must immediately surrender our modern technical lifestyle and return to a mid-19th century way of life to prevent any further recurrence of 90-degree temperatures. Yes, this is also sarcasm. George Alexopoulos, he said, scientists agree the The climate is now shifting 4 times a year. We need to do something. Yep, more sarcasm. And that's all to the good. Rep Jayapal's claim here is not serious. She is not a serious person, and there's no reason to take her seriously. Sometimes pointing and laughing is the appropriate response, and this is one of those times. But some of the commenters did bring some serious data. Margaret LaFay said, nope, it's called summer. Is that hard for you? Look it up. We are in a cool cycle, and showing receipts here. I've showed this as well before on my Patreon, that we are actually in a solar minimum, but that's a whole nother story. Again, I can't really go too deep into that right now because y'all know how they be tripping on this platform sometimes. But this, of course, is climate change on a geographic time scale. Shows we are in fact in a cool cycle. A little perspective is in order here. I've never denied that climate change happens. It always has, myself too, and it always will. We always have climate change. There's been colder periods, it's been warmer periods. That's a simple fact. We had an ice age. We had a period that was hot, that melted all the ice. That's what happens. It's climate change. Though most of our planets, through most of our planet's history, it's been warmer than it is now. That's an absolute fact. You can't argue that. There are many factors influencing climate, so that we will likely never understand them all. Do humans have an impact? Yes, of course. Everything does. Is our impact enough to make it worth doing what Representative Jayapal would have us do, to stamp the brakes on our modern technology lifestyle? It most assuredly is not. Fortunately, this seems to be the caliber of the opposition, a science illiterate who doesn't understand the plural of antidote is not data. Right, it is anecdotal. I mean, it's the summertime. Of course, it's gonna get hot. I don't understand. Every time it's hot, they're like, "See, climate change. Pay more taxes for climate change. We need to stop. If you give the government more money for climate change, we'll fix the weather." Like, seriously? I can't believe people actually fall for this nonsense. But y'all, let me know what y'all think about this. Leave y'all comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.